It's eggnog season! Oh my god, I love it. Anyways, for those of you who somehow don't know, because you haven't been around while I've incessantly talked about it, in addition to the Toronto International Film Festival, I also attended the Sundance Film Festival this year as press, because I'm awesome to me. Now, I saw so many amazing movies while I was there, some that I've already talked about, some that I'm patiently awaiting their closer release dates before I talk about them in more detail. But today we're going to be talking about one that is truly unique in its class. Because now, friends, I must ask you, what movie has an Academy Award-winning actress beating the shit out of zombies? A Disney star biting the ear off of a child. A group of kindergarten children, Taylor Swift and Darth Vader, and the answer is Little Monsters.
We have kids out here!
Oh my god, I don't give a shit.
Now, this isn't the first time I've talked about this movie. I mentioned it in my Sundance recap. If you haven't seen that, I will try to remember to link it up above or down below. And I also was on an episode of the Intercut podcast that we filmed after Sundance with Arturo Zurita and Alina from Let Me Explain and the ATZ show, as well as Zachary Shevich. I've also been in a few other episodes of the Intercut podcast, so if you're interested in that, make sure you go follow them down below. I think we're filming another one this week about a couple of our favorite movies that we saw at TIFF. But this movie was absolutely amazing and just really special in what it was. So when I went to Sundance, we really prioritized watching as many movies as possible. I also did that at TIFF, but Sundance was like an entirely different thing. And the day that we saw Little Monsters was a very full day. That was, we started movies at like 8 o'clock in the morning and Little Monsters started at midnight. We didn't get out of there until past 2 a.m. And I'll be honest, sometimes you hit those midnight premieres and you have a little bit, you're struggling to stay awake a little bit, even if you didn't have a full day of movies where you woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning. But this damn movie kept all of our attention the entire time because it is so fun, it is so off the wall, and it's hard to imagine why someone wouldn't like it. Like, I guess if you really hate zombies, you might not like it, but I hated zombies until Zombieland came out, and I really feel like if you like Zombieland, if you like Kindergarten Cop, if you like School of Rock, you're probably gonna find something in this that you really enjoy. Out of all the movies that I saw at Sundance, and honestly of most of the movies I've seen this year, it's still one of the most enjoyable. It was definitely the most fun movie I saw of the like 50 I saw at Sundance, and I definitely think it's worth a watch. So the basic premise of Little Monsters is that it starts with the main character, Dave, who's kind of going through a really rough patch in his life. He's a failed musician, his relationships are falling apart, and he's staying with his sister who has a little boy named Felix, who has a lot of health issues. So he ends up taking Felix to school one day, meets the kindergarten teacher played by Academy Award-winning actress Lupita Nyong'o, gets a little crush, and decides that he's going to attend their next field trip with them. And that's where everything starts getting pretty fun. So what starts off as a really nice, fun little field trip to the petting zoo quickly dissolves into a zombie nightmare, a very contained zombie nightmare where not only do they have to deal with the fact that there's zombies everywhere, Lupita Nyong'o's character, Miss Caroline in the movie, is both trying to protect the children from the threat and make them think that it's all a game, that none of it's really happening. And that's where the real art comes in. I'm not going to go into too many details about the movie itself, just because I think that gives you the run of the mill of what you need, but it's really funny, it's really charming, it's amazing. And then when you kind of find out what kind of went into making this movie, it really just takes it to the next level. So Josh Gad's character in this, so if you guys don't know who Josh Gad is, he is the voice of frickin' Olaf. He was in Beauty and the Beast. This is like a Disney darling. This man literally read this script and was like, oh, hell no, I can't be in this. And then ultimately decided, sure, I guess I'll do it. It won't be too bad. And then he goes and does this.
How do you like it, huh? Oh God, what have I done?
Yeah, I'm sure Disney is thinking the same thing. And it's beautiful every step of the way. So if you've seen the trailer for this movie or heard me talking about it, you probably think, okay, this is just a wild comedy that just somehow happens to have kids infused. But it's also super heartwarming. So we got the Q&A with him after our showing, and he just kind of like let us into this entire separate world about how this whole thing was actually written as a love letter to his son. And his son's supposed to be represented in that character, Felix. He has a lot of health issues. It was very hard for them to trust him going to school until they met the kindergarten teacher, and he was like, wow, I would trust this woman with my son's life in any situation, including a zombie apocalypse. And that's what kind of birthed this whole idea. So it's something that's so ridiculous, so absolutely not acceptable for children, that ultimately ends up being specifically a love letter to him that he's probably not going to be able to watch for at least another 10 years. So all throughout this movie, there's going to be little moments that you might notice, like, oh, his kid probably really likes this or that, but there's going to be so many little things in the background, so many small details that no one's really going to know or even notice were there until he goes to watch it years later. And this is a ridiculous undertaking of a film. It obviously had a very small budget, but in order to use kids in a lot of these scenarios, there are so many rules and regulations that they have to follow on set so that you don't traumatize them, while also trying to sell to the audience that this is something that's, really happening, that it's a present threat. So they're dealing with kids that are going to act like kids, and they can only film with them for a certain amount of time. So trying to corral them for that amount of time in itself is very difficult. They have to sit them down with the prosthetic people and the makeup people and have them watch somebody become a zombie from start to finish. Apparently, one little girl had to briefly be fired because she was still scared of the people in the makeup. After she saw it happen, they brought her back and it was all good. And so many other struggles and regulations that they had to follow so specifically just to make sure that the kids didn't get exposed to anything too horrific, just to have some of those kids' parents fly them out to the Sundance premieres. He tried so hard to protect your children. Now, based on the trailer, some of you might be wondering, how did they get Lupita Nyong'o to be in this? Now, keep in mind, she filmed this immediately after Black Panther, and that was a common question of our Q&A session and other Q&A sessions was, how did you get Lupita Nyong'o to be in this movie? And apparently they just really lucked out in that she was specifically going out of her way to find smaller roles, things that were outside the norm, things that were outside the sphere of the usual dramas she was doing. And they just managed to get her because there were a lot of aspects of the script and her character in the script that she felt resonated with her. So at one point, there's kind of like a bit of a Taylor Swift feature. And she said, I was going through such a hard time a couple years ago, and the song that's featured in this movie was actually something that I constantly turned to try to get through those difficult times. It was something that meant a lot to me. So it was kind of amazing that it was in the script. And then it was actually because of Lupita Nyong'o that they were able to use the song in the final movie. Because obviously it's one thing, I can write a movie and decide that I want to put, Taylor Swift in it. And then her people are like, hell no. Hell no. So I guess they weren't getting answers for ages until Lupita Nyong'o just was like, I'm just going to send her a letter.
And so when I heard they were having a hard time, I wrote Taylor Swift myself and asked her, and I told her that story. And she said yes.
And Taylor herself was like, yes, please use my song in this movie about a zombie apocalypse with kindergarten children, where Josh Gad plays some kind of children's performer who proceeds to just fall apart and do horrible things in this movie. Yes, please use my song. So I think, honestly, whatever you think about Taylor Swift, I think it's all, we just thank her. We just want to thank her for her services to this movie. I'm sure that this movie isn't going to be for everyone. Anyone that I saw it with at Sundance absolutely adored it. And just knowing some of those smaller details that we got from the director just really amplified to that next level, which is why I kind of want to share it with you guys. Knowing how many struggles they had to go to make sure that they weren't traumatizing children. And some people are just so genuinely funny. So when we got that Q&A with Abe Forsyth, the director, it just kind of amplified it to that level because he's just a genuinely funny guy, and you see that personality in this film. So it's definitely something I would recommend to everyone to at least give it a go. It's Halloween, give it a go. In terms of release, I know that it's getting a limited release allegedly today. I guess October 8th is apparently when it's supposed to be getting limited release in certain areas. In the United States, in Hulu, because Hulu ended up picking it up from Sundance, it's releasing on Friday, the 11th, on Hulu in America. So if you're American and you have Hulu, you should be able to watch this movie on Friday. And then internationally, it's supposed to be releasing at various stages through the next month. As a Canadian, I don't actually even know what's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to get the Netflix because we don't have Hulu, or if it's just going to be available to rent at some point over the next month. I don't think we're getting it theatrically. But if you can watch it theatrically, I might recommend it because it was really fun. Otherwise, get some friends together, make a little Halloween adventure out of it. Again, we've got Zombieland 2 coming right around the corner. If you were a fan of that, if you're a fan of Shaun of the Dead, even School of Rock, I would definitely recommend giving this a go because it's equal parts funny and heartwarming. And to me, it was definitely worth the watch. And I had it listed as my most rewatchable movie from Sundance, and I can't wait to watch it again. If you guys have managed to catch this movie already, I know it's played at a a few different film festivals. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Are you excited about this movie? Did you even know that this movie existed? Because if not, I'm here to bless you. Trust me, I don't care if you hate Josh Gad based on his Disney roles. Y'all gonna tune into Josh Gad for this because it's hilarious. As always, guys, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all had a fantastic day, and we'll catch you all later. Thanks, as always, to my Patreon supporters, my Twitch supporters, my regular subscribers, and anybody watching this video at all. Bless you.